Alright guys, I am back with my review of this week's TNA Impact Wrestling for August 15th, 2013. And this is the big Hardcore Justice show, and I'm actually expecting Sabin to retain tonight because the house show I'm going to Saturday says World Title Match, Sabin versus Austin Aries. And Bully Ray's not even on that show, so I expect them to have a world champion there, so I'm assuming Sabin will retain tonight. We get the first match, which is the ladder match with Kazarian, Hardy, Aries, and AJ Styles. And this was a good match here. All four of these guys really worked hard out there. I enjoyed it. I thought it had a lot of great spots. Nothing too crazy. They didn't do any like insane spots or anything, but it was a good ladder match. And during the ladder match, I kept thinking, Kazarian just aligned himself, or Bad Influence aligned themselves with Bobby Roode, and they created this new stable. So why aren't they out there helping Kazarian? As far as I know, there's no disqualification. Well, eventually they come out, but Christopher Daniels distracts the referee. I don't know why they had to do that if it's no DQ, but he's distracting the referee. Bobby Roode tries to beat up Jeff Hardy. Hardy fights him off and tries to climb the ladder. And while he's climbing up there, Kazarian grabs the Appletinis, runs up the ladder, throws it in Hardy's face, and grabs the 20 points. So Kazarian goes over here. I thought the right guy won. I mean, last week they cut that promo about how the landscape has changed. It's now Christopher Daniels, Kazarian, and Bobby Roode. They're going to take over the BFG series. They cut that awesome promo last week, so they needed this win. So I'm glad Kazarian went over here. But it was a good match for sure. Chris Sabin cuts a promo backstage about how the Dudley Boys used to put guys through tables that were on fire with thumbtacks. I think he's referring to Balls Mahoney. And he says that the Dudley Boys used to do that type of stuff, and he was a big fan, but they're ruthless, so he can't take Bully Ray lightly. The main event Mafia's in the ring with Dixie Carter. She mentions the whole Kurt Angle had to go to rehab thing. This is good for Kurt Angle. The past few months, whenever Kurt Angle would be out there in the ring and cutting promos, there was just something off about him. You could tell he seemed kind of shaky or something. It was weird, but yeah, his promos have been strange for a long time now, so I'm glad he's finally going to rehab, especially, I think they said this was like his 4th DUI in 2 years or something crazy like that, so the dude definitely needed help. But this leaves the main event Mafia a member short. So they were supposed to have that big 5-on-5 tag match where whoever gets pinned is fired. So they can't do the match. Aces and Eights come out, and they say that the main event Mafia has 1 week to find a replacement. So they attack the main event Mafia, and because it's 5-on-4, they beat them down. So we get a hardcore triple threat knockouts match with ODB versus Gil Kim versus Mickie James. And I thought this was pretty entertaining. You have to admit, this was entertaining stuff.
It was more entertaining than the ridiculous bikers and mafia.
I thought it was pretty good. They used your typical hardcore match items here. You got the steel chair, Singapore canes. It was funny because Mickie James kept trying to help Gil Kim out. And every time she did, Gil Kim would just stop what she was doing on ODB and just attack Mickie James. So I did like that. Eventually, ODB hits the TKO on Gil Kim on top of a steel chair for the win. And that was pretty much it. Anything else about this match you can think of?
It did seem a little unfair because honestly thought the one was a dude.
What did you say? She looked like Woody Harrelson in Anger Management?
Yeah. It's like that mixed with, what was his name, Busey.
Bret Michaels.
Yeah, that there too.
But then we see Sting backstage. He's going crazy because the Aces and Eights got their asses kicked and they need to find a replacement. So he says he's going off to find Austin Aries. We see Bully Ray talking to someone on the phone, and they're implying that it's Brooke Hogan. He says something about the relationship and how this week's about him, but next week it'll be about her. And then he says, "I love you, Brooke." So holy shit, Brooke is back with Bully Ray. Who knows what the hell's going on with this? Austin Aries tells Sting no. He doesn't want to join the main event Mafia. Rampage Jackson says he's got somebody else in mind. So Rampage and Samoa Joe come out. And Rampage actually cuts a pretty good promo here. It really felt like he was being himself. He wasn't reading a script or anything, and I thought this really made the segment entertaining. It's much better than anything else he's done in TNA this far, so I really enjoyed this segment. So Rampage is talking about how the Aces and Eights have beat them down. They need somebody else to join the team, so it's even, and he calls out Tito Ortiz. And Tito comes out, and Rampage says, man, we can take over this sport like we took over MMA. They plug the pay-per-view match. And then Bully Ray comes out. He comes out to Tito's music, actually, and he calls him Blondie again. And he says he's going to make Tito his Huntington Beach bitch. So Tito gets all fired up, and Joe and Rampage have to hold him back. And that was pretty much it, but it was a good segment, and I thought Rampage was very entertaining here. And I'd like to see more of this, of him just being himself, because he is a naturally charismatic type person. I mean, he's funny. I liked him on The Ultimate Fighter when he kept calling that guy titties and stuff. I mean, he can do good stuff if he's just being himself. And I mean, I'm not saying I want to see this for a long period of time, but I'm saying as long as they're going to have Rampage around, if they use him like this, then I'm fine with it, because I don't expect him to be around for very long. I think once this whole Tito Rampage thing is over and they have their fight or whatever, he's going to be gone. So at least this is watchable. We get Anderson versus Joe, Rude, and Magnus in a tables match for 20 points. Pretty good match here. Eventually Kazarian runs down, starts fighting with Joe. Magnus tries to superplex Rude off the top through a table, and Daniels throws an Appletini in his face, and Rude powerbombs Magnus through the table for the win. So Rude gets 20 points here, which puts him in second place, and he was in last place, I think. So now he's in second place here. And then Sting cuts this weird promo. The cameraman is asking him how he feels about Tito. Is it going to work? And he's like, well, now they're friends, but they still have a fight coming, but my gut tells me it's going to work, but also be careful what you wish for. I just don't know. So this was a promo that pretty much gave you no information whatsoever. Anderson's backstage busting Bully Ray's balls about losing to Sabin, so they're not really getting along right now. Then we get the steel cage match with Sabin versus Bully for the title. If Bully loses, he never gets another title shot again. Didn't really care much for the match itself. I thought it kind of dragged on in places. But eventually the ref takes a bump. So Sabin has Bully beat, but the ref's not there to make the count. So he tries to crawl out of the cage. Anderson runs up, slams the cage in his face, and he actually says, "You shall not pass." So Rampage and Tito run out, and they take out Anderson. And then Tito pulls out a hammer and takes out Rampage Jackson. Bully throws Sabin into the cage, hits a sick powerbomb for the win, regains the title. Tito gets in the ring and celebrates with Taz and Bully Ray. So Tito has joined the Aces and Eights, I guess. So I'm curious to see how they explain this one, what Tito's reasoning for this would be. I guess the simplest thing is he doesn't like Rampage Jackson, and he's in TNA to fuck with Rampage, so he joined the Aces and Eights. That's the only thing I can come up with anyways. But as far as the show goes, ladder match was the best match on the show. That was awesome. The knockouts match was decent. Tables match was decent. And the cage match I didn't really care much for, but it was okay. So it wasn't the greatest show ever, and they hype these shows up like they're pay-per-views. Like, this is a free pay-per-view on television. No. Okay, maybe with the ladder match, but that's one match. These are definitely not pay-per-views. And now they got another one, No Surrender, is going to be on television. So I have to say the show was average this week, really. I can't really. What was that? Like 4 matches on one show. So I can't really say it was anything more than that. But yeah, that's my review of Impact this week. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave your thoughts on this week's show in the comments, and thanks for watching.